Hi everybody and welcome to the first S2 lesson on media analysis. Now some of you might be doing the differentiated version of today's tasks and that's absolutely fine, but you should still watch this whole video because a lot of what you're going to be hearing is very similar to the tasks that you're going to be doing. So what's our plan looking like for the next few lessons? Well, if we take a look at this table, then you can see that lesson 1, and that's today, we're going to be talking about audience and purpose. Lesson 2 is camera angles. Lesson 3 we're going to be looking at sound, so that's next week. Lesson 4 is editing techniques, and then the following week, so the beginning of the third week, we'll be doing a little bit of text creation, and we'll discuss in a bit more detail what that's going to be like closer to the time. So the first thing we need to talk about is what exactly is media. So when we're talking about media, different types of media can include things like books, newspapers, magazines, graphic novels, comics, movies, television, video games, radio, and the internet, so blogs or anything else that you might look at online. Now the highlighted selection of different media types there are sometimes referred to as print media because they're things that are printed out. So we're going to get things started with a little starter task. So you've got 3 words at the top there from the academic words list. So we've got identify, source, and compound. So the first thing that I'd like you to do is copy these words out 3 times each on a piece of paper. Then I'd like you to use the 3 words to come up with a sentence of your own and try and use all 3 words if you can. Then I'd like you to take a picture of your starter task and add it to this box here. So you can do that directly on the slides, and the reason that we're writing it down instead of typing it is so that you can practice your spelling and your handwriting as well. So pause the video and try that starter task now. Okay, so today we're going to be looking a little bit at audience purpose. So first of all, we're going to think about audience. So often when we think about an audience, we think about being at a big event of some kind, so a stand-up comedy gig, a music festival, or maybe a concert or something like that. But when we're talking about media, an audience is simply any individual, person, or group of people who experience a media text. So for example, somebody who's reading a book, a family who are listening to the radio in their car, or a couple of friends who are watching TV together. Each one of those people or groups of people is an audience for that particular media text because they are experiencing it. Now, moving on to think a little bit about purpose. The purpose of a text is the reason it was created, so the reason it was made. The purpose of a media text is often to do one of the following things. So to inform us about something, to tell us about something, to persuade us to believe something, to entertain us, to educate us, or for profit, to try and sell you something. So each time you are watching, reading to, or listening to a text, you should ask yourself these 2 questions. Who is the intended audience of this text? Who has it been made for? And what is the purpose of this text? Why has it been made? So now you're going to give it a little go yourselves. So there's a YouTube link here for an advert. I'd like you to watch the video. It's an advert for McDonald's, and then I'd like you to think about 2 different questions. What is the purpose of this advert? Why has it been made? And who is the intended audience of this advert? Who was it made for? And you can write your answer straight onto the boxes. So pause the video, watch the advert, and then fill out the boxes. Brilliant. Okay, now we're going to practice a few more examples. So on the next 4 slides, you're going to see different posters, different adverts, and for each one, I'd like you to think about the purpose and the audience. So why has it been made, do you think, And who has it been made for, do you think? And again, I'd like you to just write your answers straight on the boxes. So here's your first picture. Who has this been made for? And why do you think it has been made? Pause the video, answer those questions. Okay, here's number 2. Who has this been made for? Why has it been made? Here's number 3. So what is the purpose of this text? And who is the intended audience of this text? And last but not least, here we go. So what is the purpose of this text? And who is the intended audience? Brilliant. So now we're going to move on to talk again about the private reading project, and this is going to be your last task of the lesson. So we're reading and we're doing some note making. So please make sure that you understand that this is not an extension task. This is a part of today's lesson that you must also complete. What I'd like you to do is to take some time to do some reading towards your private reading project. So aim to do at least 20 minutes if you can. Once you've finished, then you have to make some notes on characterisation, setting, structure, and theme. And if you're doing the differentiated version of today's lesson, then the notes you're making might look slightly different, but you should still be making notes. And a space has been provided for you on the next slide for you to make your notes. Okay. So you'll be looking at a page that looks just like this, so you need to tell us what is the title of your book or your short story, and then fill out the boxes below with as much detail as you can possibly manage after you've done, let's say, 20 minutes of reading. And once you've finished that, you're all done. That's the end of the lesson, so well done, and remember to tag your teacher on Teams if you've got any questions at all about today's lesson.